dealing with psychology nationally, other state associations. Any comparisons that you've made between our association in Ohio and some of the other associations that you visited?
I think that the issue that was coming forward at that time was we were trying to really put forward a diversity initiative within those various states, and what we proposed to them is look at the population that you serve. When I was in Wyoming, we're looking at the Native American population, and asking them, does your organization in any way look like the population that you're serving? If not, then efforts need to be made to move that forward. And so looking at the pipeline, students who are at the undergraduate level and then on to graduate level, so that starting from the beginning, you are having students of diversity entering into the field of psychology who would then go on to graduate school and become professionals. So that was the focus then, and I think it made sense to most of the state associations that they needed to become more of a mirror of the client population that they were serving, and they were responsive to that. So, not that you would want the Wyoming or the Georgia Association to look like Ohio, but you would want them to look like the state in which they were operating. So it was different. Again, not looking for them to model exactly after us, but to just simply meet the needs that were there. And I thought that was very important.
And tell us a little bit about the licensing law history, if you would, please.
All right, a bit of background. I've been in academia, I've been in clinical practice, and I had been in some of the organizational structures in California and whatnot. California had passed their licensing law a couple of years sooner. I hadn't been actively involved in passing it, but I had been involved in some of the implementation of it and that kind of thing. Academia does not really need public regulation because it's somewhat self-correcting. Science, you propose some theory, if it works, fine. It's built on. If it doesn't, if someone else challenges it, they do the research that proves it's wrong, and it's wrong. And you don't need regulation. Clinical work is not the same. People that come to see you don't have the knowledge base, they don't have the experience to judge what you're doing, and you can have all kinds of nonsense go on in the name of good clinical work. Back in those days we had EST, we had the primal scream, we had all kinds of approaches. It was ignorance profound, and under those kinds of circumstances, in my bias in practice, when one is trying to deal with most human problems, the practitioner is generally dealing with ignorance. If you know what to do, you have a technician that knows how to do it, and you have a technological structure, and you plug someone in and it gets done. If you don't know what to do, you go to a practitioner, and the practitioner's primary skill is in dealing with ignorance, not with knowledge. Well, if you have a naive profession, then you have a lot of people that are quite willing to try all kinds of things, often quite disastrously. So the clinical work clearly needed some external oversight, whereas our structures, all of our academic structures, were built around academic needs, which didn't include lobbying legislators and that kind of thing. And it was very difficult to gain any leverage to get done what needed to be done. Well, the licensing movement, actually certification at that time, was started in Connecticut in 1946, so licensing had been around for a long time. Ohio had it at that time, when I came here in 1966, it had its own certification program. You could go down and your colleagues would evaluate you, and if you were in effect kosher, then you'd could get a certification from the state. But it was one without significant teeth. It just didn't do much. But the need for someone in Cleveland, say at the Cleveland Clinic, to refer someone who was moving to California, refer them to a psychologist out there, or to Colorado, or to wherever. You did not know, unless you knew the person, the psychologist personally, you did not know what kind of help they were going to get. You literally did not. So the need for standardization was quite high, and the whole field was talking about how we go about this. Well, Ohio's history